Okay, let me just start by reiterating that I like pagan religion. Okay, I've got books which are pagan downstairs. I use symbols from them. I use rituals from them. I think they're great. And obviously, I'm a tarot reader professionally, so a lot of the things I do overlaps with what you would call the pagan process. You know, the contemplative tradition, using this, that, and the other, and working on balance and harmony and that kind of thing. But I do not identify with the title pagan because I have got a more complicated, more nuanced, and much broader faith than just that. Intellectually, I know that there is emotionally beneficial things to a lot of the things which are within paganism. I personally perceive that as being, please forgive the language, but I think it is true, a spiritual preschool. And a very, very scary one as well. Why? Let's think about the dog whistles. A while back, I used to follow the Deepak Chopra tweets on Twitter. Great fun, quite nice. But these things had no depth, or substance, or real content. They were words, yes, but they are read with the emotional mind. Now, if you're someone who is traumatized, you're unwell, you're not thinking clearly, you're not feeling clearly, you're trying to get over all kinds of issues, and life is too hard, I really get that these things are important to you and can lift you up and can emotionally balance you, and it's wonderful stuff. It's a bit like getting out the I Ching. I've got a copy of that downstairs, which I do once in a while, and I see that, yeah, nice words, okay, that's great, that's going to help me to be a bit more, in perspective about some stuff that's going on in my life, and that's nice. But it's not the be-all and end-all of thought. And if you're going through a time in your life when you need that kind of stuff, then that's okay, so long as you're still developing yourself intellectually with reference to the same subjects that you're engaging with. This is a problem when people do not. You see, those Deepak Chopra tweets, they were beautiful, they were nice, but look at the individual words. Try and break down what it's trying to say, and then try and work out specifically what it's trying to say. And then you realize that it could have like dozens of different meanings. So therefore that tweet going out is not going out to you personally, but you feel it is because it triggers something positive in you emotionally. You feel uplifted, you feel a sense of identification, and therefore for some reason it is somehow therapeutic to you. In that respect, nothing wrong with that. But where else are you going with your intellectual analysis, and where else are you going on your deep mind? Okay, let's say your conscious mind is here, you got your more intellectual stuff up there, you got your deep mind down there, sort of thing. Okay, so how is this affecting your deep mind and your deep cognition? Now, you're approaching this stuff from where you are at the moment as a person. That means whether you slept badly the previous night, whether you're in a bad mood because you've had a bad day doing this, that, and the other, whether you're dwelling upon this, that, and the other, bitter resentment going back to, I don't know, some time when you had a terrible experience with a evil, misogynistic Christian of some description or other, some cisgendered arsehole who didn't respect women properly or whatever it was. All right? You're getting over issues. We're all getting over some issues. So this stuff is essentially good and friendly when it's treated in the right state. But is it helping you to get over and get through and work through properly what the psychological issue is that means that you need that? And also, is there anything else in those words which could possibly be having a detrimental effect upon your intellectual and emotional development moving into the future? These are questions you have to ask yourself as a person who is practicing any faith whatsoever, any single form of spirituality. This in-depth analysis has to happen. Otherwise, you will end up being stagnant and just living within your problems, living within your traumas, and not actually growing beyond it. So my interest here is in your general spiritual growth. Now, spiritual growth does not mean to do with dealing with spirits in this particular case. Spiritual growth is dealing with your emotional balance and harmony as a result of clearing the mind, which therefore requires a lot of intellectual work to break down all the problems and challenges going on inside you. This is a lifelong path. Okay, we all have to go through it somehow, and some of us need to do it more than others, and some of us have got more interest in doing it than others, and other people are just like holding on to all of their bitterness and anger, resentment, and the rest of that, and their problems, and they're not choosing to move out of it because they're saying everyone else is wrong, I'm right. Really? Is that really the level of personal development you want to be at? And is your religion really helping you to move out of that state of personal development and into a greater state of clarity? Now, there's a couple of movies you've probably heard of. One of them is called Midsommar, and the other one is called The Wicker Man. Now, the Wicker Man is sometimes perceived within the neo-pagan community as being a symbolic thing, talking about removing some kind of previous megalithic structure of faith which has been holding you back and is full of prejudice and bad behavior and needs to be driven off the face of this planet, and this whole new wonderful spiritual, psychological, whatever will occur. This new thing, this new age, this Aquarian age, this pagan age, this new golden age of paganism. But this movie is still inserting in you certain key ideas as to how you should be dealing with this. You don't understand how complicated your mind is and how much from the media you're picking up and incorporating into your psychological makeup. The mirror cells inside your brain is looking at these characters and is to a certain extent copying them. At a deep level, I don't care whether you disbelieve in me or not, this is what's happening, this is human psychology. And those who have more of a murky mind or have got more forms of brain fog are more likely to experience much more of this. Okay? And what is the story of the Wicker Man really about? Be honest now. And I mean brutally honest with what the story is genuinely about. Not the dog whistle that it's given you. Not the fact that it's a bit like a Deepak Chopra tweet. Alright? And it's got some kind of thing going on there which somehow you think resonates with you personally, or what you believe, or what you think is right, or what you think is this, that and the other. Because it's not about you. It never has been about you. It never has been about your faith. It never has been about your people. The story is about a bunch of psychotic, culted up murderers. Okay? This is it. Culted up murderers who are culturally isolated from any other sources of education and information. Culted up people separated from the outer world, living in some strange islands where they just grow fruit and vegetables and that kind of stuff, and don't have any form of intellectual source which is going to grow them morally, intellectually, or properly spiritually to change them outside of their negativity and bring them into a deeper level of clarity of thought. Okay? You're absorbing this as if it was something appropriate, religious, spiritual. A story about culted up psychotics who think it's perfectly okay to burn a human being alive purely because it's May the 1st. There's something which is going to get deep inside your mind. Now, obviously I'm not telling you you're going to become a killer, but I am telling you that this sense of anger, bitterness, resentment against this thing which you think is going to harm you, or which might have already harmed you, I don't know. The problem in you is not going away. You're fortifying it. You're making it stronger. And you're somehow connecting a story about torture, murder, and magnifying and revering people who've been culted up to the point where they would do something terrible as being something which is worthwhile of reverence. It strikes me more like radicalization to me. It strikes me more like reveling in your own personal darkness because you find it difficult to overcome the issues brought about by coming across evil, misogynistic, cisgendered, white Christian men who you think have never respected women, or whatever the fuck it is at the moment. And yes, I find it hard to believe that people with master's qualifications are actually not analysing what these things are doing to them. These stories, these ideas. Is it keeping you in a state of resentfulness, or are you actually emerging into a greater state of peace and love and harmony? Are the ideas which you're absorbing helping you to forgive yourself and others? Are the ideas which you're absorbing helping you to put into perspective your own personal trauma, your own personal misery, so that it's less likely to affect your social interaction with your family, with your friends, with your community, with your colleagues? Think about it. Like, these things are dog whistles. And if you're someone who is going to end up looking specifically at dog whistles, you're being trained right now. You're going through the process of being trained to react to little dog whistles, right? Just like the Trump followers, just like the followers of Nigel Farage, right? Just like all these ghastly people. You've become someone who is of that type. Different subject to a certain extent, but where's it going to lead? And it certainly isn't leading you intellectually to a position of objectively analysing the political information which is coming your way, because all of this stuff is political information. It's all political information, and political information is there to twist you emotionally. And once you've been twisted emotionally, then your intellect tries to justify why your emotions have been changed, and then you're someone who follows the party line. All right? You're going through the process of culting yourself up into something which you don't need to be. You're magnifying your religion or your cult through these various sources of media, and the end result, well, if you were to just take a look in the mirror when you've got one of those glowering facial expressions and you're going on about paganism, or whatever, or when you're doing those hooded eye facial expressions when you're talking to those people who are in the know. They're not in the know. They're just religious freaks. They're culted up little freaks like you. All right? Just culted up little freaks. How's this affecting you really? Think about it. All right? You have to break on through to the other side of this somehow. You can't stay in this foggy-brained state forever. And you mustn't. Seriously. All right? Okay, so you've got a feeling of loyalty to paganism. Great. But so what? I don't have a feeling of loyalty to the friends I knew in fucking kindergarten, do I? I'm 50. All right? You have to move away from the sense of loyalty and realize you've built up a foundation of understanding your 101 of spirituality, which comes from your paganism. But that is not the be-all and end-all of it. It's like you're keeping yourself at this lower brainwave frequency because, you think it's somehow a good thing. You're keeping yourself at this lowered mental state because you're too afraid to get out of it. You're too afraid to challenge yourself. The sense of identity associated with paganism has become so damn strong that you find it difficult to actually think clearly like a grown-up. There is something really, really harmful about this. And if you wanted to have a pagan community which is actually clear-minded, why on earth would you propagate this particular variety of propaganda and encourage it and encourage people to watch it and say, yeah, it's such a cool film? Because if you're in that sort of giggly punk state, you're not doing any thinking at all. If you're in that giggly state of opposition, you're not doing any thinking at all. It is retarding you. It is holding you back. Intellectually, morally, emotionally, in every possible way. It is a form of sickness. And if you're like that, you are a cultist. And you have been culted up. And you don't have any spiritual freedom or intellectual freedom. And some change has to happen, because if you carry on like this, you are going to go progressively more and more and more insane. I have seen it happening with my own eyes. This is one of the many reasons why I cannot call myself a pagan, I cannot call myself a Wiccan, even though I have taken ideas from those traditions and I use them myself. I require to keep my frontal lobes working. I don't just want to work and operate on the mid-brain or hindbrain. I don't just want to be an individual who is kept in this cult bubble. Because that is not healthy, nor is it intelligent, nor is it wise. Or maybe you use the word witched, which means wise, in order to make you think you're wise. Well, what are you doing to yourself psychologically at the moment, which is going to actually help you to actually have objective wisdom and clarity of thought? I can't see it there. And I'm not talking to you from the point of view of being a Christian, because you know I'm not one. And I'm not talking to you of the purpose of being, from the point of view of being a pagan, because I'm not one. I'm talking to you as an independent individual who has his own spirituality and who has observed that there is wrong in both Christianity and paganism and wants the better sides of Christianity and paganism to move forward and the worse to steadily go away. And I should not be wrong, and I should not be criticised negatively for wanting this. Yes, I have anger. Yes, I have fury. Because I'm seeing a good people, very good people, people with great qualifications, with great careers, and with great potential in the future, going steadily insane. This has to change. You have to take responsibility over this. You're the people in the pagan community, not me. I don't want to attend Pagan Federation. I don't want to attend Pagan Link. I don't want to attend Talking Stick. I find their level of analysis pathetic. I find their political intensity rather too strong. I find their attitudes deplorable, and communication styles and patterns which are insane by their own nature. There is nothing which is objective, clear-minded and true that I can see in those environments which will, if I went into them, would help me at all. I can't see it. And if you can, maybe you're just very keen to keep your friends. But you show even the slightest interest in anything Abrahamic, then all of a sudden you'll find out where your friends really are, won't you? And if they do leave you, if you chose to change your definition of your faith and moved away from this purity of paganism which you think you've got, just watch what happens and see who your friends really genuinely are. Because if they value you, they'll still be joining you for tea and playing board games with you and joining you for whatever. Everything will carry on being the same. But are they really friendships? Or are they just people who will tolerate you because you're of the same cult? Intellectually, I think you're lowering yourself to be of the order of a Trump follower. And I think that this is wrong. And I think that you are going insane. And I can see it happening bit by bit with the rolling years. Take some responsibility over what goes on into your mind. Take responsibility over your analysis of what goes on and what you take into your mind. And pull yourself out of the fog so you can have clarity. And you can then be a genuine good to the world and genuinely use your religion to help you to grow. I'll speak to you again soon. Nick out.